This is November 25th,
Yes,
1986.
that's right.
This is Joe Todd, an interview with Mr. Percy Goff in Stroud, Oklahoma.
Need a book or something to write on?
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Goff, where were you born?
Born in Oklahoma, Indian Territory,
And when's your birthday?
October 19th, 1896.
Who was your father?
Elmer Ellsworth Goff.
And your mother?
Elizabeth Goff.
What was her maiden name?
Rusk, R-U-S-K.
And where were your parents from?
There's mother from Siloam, Arkansas. I don't know where Dad is from.
Did you know your grandparents?
What?
Did you know your grandparents?
Yeah, I knew Grandpa Goff. Grandpa Rusk died when I was 6 months old.
Were either of your grandfathers in the Civil War?
Yes. They was both in the Civil War.
Which side did they fight on?
One on the north, one on the south.
Your grandfather Goff was on which
North.
side? North. And grandfather Russ was on south.
On the south.
What were their first names?
David. They was both named David.
Did your grandfather Goff ever talk about the war?
No, that's how I know. I was pretty young.
Yeah.
When he was still living.
And you say you were born in Indian Territory. What part of Indian Territory?
All around Siloam, southwest of Missouri. He's on this side of Indian Territory.
What kind of work did your father do?
He's just a farmer. Well, he worked in the mines before he came to Oklahoma.
I'm sorry, what did he do?
Why?
What did your father do?
He's a miner
He's a miner.
until he came to Oklahoma.
He worked in the lead and zinc mines up around.
Well, we lived in Spurgeon, Missouri, little town on the Ocho, little mining town. He's quite a carpenter. He built his own home when he got here.
When did you move to this area?
October 3rd, 1903. Come to Oklahoma. I've been here since 1950. Lived here since 50.
Do you remember the trip to Oklahoma?
How's that?
Do you remember the trip?
Oh yeah, every foot of it.
Tell me about it. What happened?
I just mud and water. And it's a long trail. 11 days. Coming about a 3-hour trip now.
How'd you travel?
Mother and I drove a 1-horse, did a buggy behind the wagon, covered wagon.
What did you pack to bring on the trip?
I didn't have much, just the clothing. We shipped household goods.
What about your meals on the trip?
How's that?
Your meals on the trip?
Mother cooked them. Cooked on the ground.
Where'd you sleep?
Slept in the wagon. We had overjets on a covered wagon.
Okay, what is an overjet?
That's jets over the side of the. It's jets over the side of the box.
And how many were in the family at that time?
There's 6 of us. 4 kids and parents. 2 girls and 2 boys.
And y'all came in the wagon and the buggy?
Yes.
What about fording rivers?
Forded all of them. Double teamed on the banks.
You say double team?
One team couldn't pull up those slick banks this steep. Double teamed on all of them.
Do you have any trouble fording any of the rivers? Have any trouble fording any of the rivers?
Well, it's pretty high on some of them. We got across it.
What about the Arkansas?
We ferried it
And where was the ferry located?
right there in Tulsa. Tulsa's a little old town sitting up on the hill. 1 or 2 stories.
How many people lived in Tulsa at that time? How big was it?
Oh, I don't know. I imagine 600 or 800. I don't know.
Did you go through Sapulpa?
And no, I don't think. I don't remember.
What about the roads at that time?
Wasn't any, just trails. Some of them up deep in mud and water.
How did your father know where he was going?
He'd been down here before and bought this land. His brother lived here, the reason why he came here. We went, run over all the good land, Oklahoma to get here.
And how long did it take to get here?
11 days.
11 days. Were you familiar with the Indians when you came here?
How's that?
Were you familiar with the Indians when you
No.
came here? What do you think about them?
Well, they was all peaceful, lousy looking outfits. All the men wore robes. They never had no clothes except robes.
What Indians lived around this area?
What?
What Indians lived in this area?
Second Fox.
Second Fox.
They had a big meeting. Second Fox Agency. That's the biggest business place around here.
Where was the agency located in those years?
It's 5 or 6 miles south of Stroud. They had the payroll, Indian payroll there.
How often did they have the payroll?
There were 30 days.
Every 30 days. Tell me about payday for the Indians.
It was a big day. The merchants got most of their money. And bill them for next month.
And where did you settle when you came to Stroud?
We settled 2 miles east of Second Fox Agency
And how much land?
on a 116-acre hillside.
And did you begin farming at that time?
Yes. When the run oaks got out of the ground, it washed away. Run oaks was holding the land together.
As a small boy, would you tell me what chores you did on the farm?
Well, I fed the horses and cows and milked the cow we had. Fed the chickens.
What kind of house did you live in?
Just a shotgun house, 2-room house. Dad built it. We slept on a trundle bed for 8 or 10 years, brother and I did. You know what a trundle bed is? It's the bed in daytime rolled under the
Ever meet Jim Thorpe?
Never did. Heard a lot about him, but never met.
Could you tell me about some of the Indians that you did meet, some of the Second Fox that you knew?
No, I don't know about any particular Indian that I met. We used to go to the store and there'd be a bunch of Indians. We didn't know any of them.
Could you give me a good description of Stroud in 1903?
Well, it's a little town, had board sidewalks and muddy streets, and 3 or 4 saloons. There wasn't much to it.
Who were some of the prominent people at that time?
Well, the bankers, I guess. Patrick, Conklin, Charles.
You say there were, how many saloons were here in town?
Huh?
How many saloons were there here in town?
There's 3 or 4.
Who ran the saloons? Who ran the saloons? Do you know?
The boss running on that, and that's the only one I remember.
Of course, at statehood, in 1907, at statehood, they closed all the saloons.
Oh yeah,
What did they do with all the whiskey and the liquor and the beer?
I guess they took it back to Missouri. I don't know. They might have bootlegged it. I don't know.
Do you remember Statehood Day?
Yeah, 1907.
Was there a big celebration here at that time?
Yeah, it wasn't so big.
Did you come to town to celebrate?
I don't know whether don't remember whether it did or not.
Did you raise cotton on the farm?
Cotton and corn.
How many pounds of cotton did you pick in one day?
I picked as much as 500 pounds. You have to get up and go to do that.
How big was a cotton sack?
Oh, it's how many acres you put in? 10, 15 acres.
And where was the gin located?
We had 4 gins here. 4 gins and a cotton oil mill.
And which gin did your father use?
We were paying most of the cotton.
And what was the price of cotton in those days?
Oh, 3 or 4 cents a pound, I think. We always drove on Main Street and they'd come get on the wagon, examine the cotton, and give you a price on it.
What did Main Street look like?
It looked like a deserted alley, almost. It was full of cotton wagons on weekdays, cotton season.
What about the water supply for the town? The water supply for the town?
They had a little well. It was dry about half the time.
Where was it located?
It was up here in the southeast part of town. And didn't have no electric lights. Later we had lights, burnt 10 watt bulbs, go off 10 o'clock at night.
What were the streets like when it rained?
Just mud.
Have much trouble crossing the streets in the rain?
Well, I had these wooden crosses built across there. The city marshal's supposed to have a square shovel, and he's supposed to keep the mud and water off of it.
Who was marshal at that time?
Likens, Ward Likens.
What kind of man is he?
He was a miner come out of Missouri. He was a very nice old man.
To back up, what kind of work did your father do in the mines in Missouri?
I don't really know, I was too young. I guess just common digger, I don't know.
And how long did you live on the farm here?
I came here in 1903 and I left about 15, about 12 years, I guess.
Where'd you go in 1950?
I came to work for Evans Brothers, grocery business.
What'd you do for him? What kind of work did you do for him?
I worked in the grocery store, waited on people, stocked shelves. I later become a groceryman. I was 37 years in the grocery business myself.
Where did the what was the name of the grocery store? What was the name of the store?
Evans Brothers.
Evans. Where did they get their supplies for the store?
Well, they come out of Guthrie and different places, Oklahoma City.
What was the name of the distributor at that time?
Carol Buff and Robinson was one of them. I don't remember the rest of them.
Was he out of Oklahoma City?
Yeah, he's out of the city. afraid it's going to be over before I get there. I enlisted.
When did you enlist?
After I got there, I wished I had got over. I was on all the fronts Americans had.
When did you enlist? What day?
May 23rd, 1917 or 18.
Where'd you take basic? Where'd you take your basic training?
Well, I didn't have any. 2 months, 10 days time I left Stroud on the Charter 3 front. So, no, I didn't have much training.
Did you sign up here in Stroud?
No, I signed up in Oklahoma City.
From Oklahoma City, where'd you go?
Went to up in, that just slipped my mind. You had me too quick, I guess.
You go to Kansas?
No, it was out in Colorado somewhere.
Fort Logan?
Yeah, Fort Logan, Colorado.
You travel on the troop trains?
Yes. We traveled on a freight train when we got to Fort Logan. Then after we got to Fort Logan, they shipped us to Florida. And there's 2 men dropped out of this company. We were brought out of Tulsa from Bodell, joined the ranks there. They were ready to take off overseas. That's the reason why I got over there so fast.
Remember the name of the ship you went overseas on?
Yeah, Macedonia, old cattle boat.
What was the name of it?
Macedonia?
How do you spell that?
I wouldn't know. I don't know. It's an old freighter cattle boat. I didn't eat anything for 7 days, 8.
Tell me about the trip. What happened?
Oh, it's terrible. I slept on deck. I was supposed to sleep in the hole. I got my blanket and slept on deck like a dog. It make me sick to get in the hole.
How many men were on the ship?
No, I managed 5,000 or 6,000. I don't remember how many.
Any incidents with German U-boats
No.
going over?
No, we had destroyers all around there's 13 in the convoy, and there's 3 or 4 little boats around guarding the ships all the time.
What unit were you a member of?
What?
What unit were you a member of?
After we got over there with Motor Supply Train 414, Company 439. We all have nations at the front.
And you in the Motor Transport Company?
And 414 Motor Supply Train, Company 439.
Where did you land in France?
Rest. Walked 8 miles to the barracks after we got there. That was some trip for men had 11 days.
Tell me about the barracks. Tell me about the barracks. What they look like.
Oh, they was very ordinary. About as ordinary it could be. We got something to eat, so we could eat out there after walking 8 miles.
And what was the name of the camp that you went to, the 8 miles?
I forgot it.
And how long were you at that camp?
About 3 or 4 days.
Then where'd you go?
Went to Florida, Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay, after you landed at Brest and you walked over to the camp. And
Yeah,
where'd you go from that camp?
went to, I don't remember where I went to from there. We went to Bar Bordeaux, and got our trucks. I don't know where we went from there, I don't remember.
What kind of trucks did you have?
Packard trucks. Solid tires, slick tires. Where it rained every day and no roads.
What was your job in the company?
I was a chauffeur, a driver of one of the trucks.
Were you ever in the trenches?
No. I had one truck load up,
What happened?
and I just got too close to German shells and got hit.
Were you injured there?
What?
Were you injured in that?
No. No, I come to 4 horses and some men had blowed up in the road and I had to stop.
What battle was that? Do you remember what battle that was?
No, I don't remember.
You know what part of France it was in?
I couldn't tell you. Been 68 years since there.
Yeah. Could you tell me just some incidents that happened in France?
What?
Would you just tell me some incidents that happened to you during the war in France?
Oh, I don't know. I had a lot of them, I guess. Running dodging most of the time, dodging what we call GI cans.
What are GI cans?
As what the Germans was throwing at us, those big shells. You could hear them coming for a mile or so.
Is that what they call Big Bertha back then?
Yeah, big Berthas. They was shooting in Paris and we landed there. We was on the way to the front then. They was shooting about 75 miles.
How long were you on the front?
About 3 months and 10 days, I believe I got credit for it.
Were you there at Chateau? What's the name of that big battle? Chateau?
Theory was the first.
Yeah, were you there?
It was there after the war. It's going out there. We was there and then done some use. All the others we got credit for it.
What did you do with the Meuse Argonne? What did you do there with the Meuse Argonne?
All ammunition front. I've got a daily record down here at the American Legion. Daughter had it rewritten for me and stuff down there.
You say you have a daily record?
Yeah, down at the American Legion.
Was that more or less your daily record during the war?
Yeah, more daily record during the war.
Did you ever see the Germans face to face?
I never was close to them. German people. We had an army occupation after the war. We went up there and slept in our houses.
Where were you during the occupation?
Uh,
Where were you in Germany during the occupation?
I believe a town named Dusseldorf.
What was the name of it?
Dusseldorf.
Okay.
It was good to us, so we went up there. The war's over in November, we went up there in April, stayed till June.
What did you do at Armistice Day?
Come back and got a good meal at one of the nice restaurants.
Where were you when it ended?
New Orleans.
No, now you're still in France, aren't you, during the Armistice?
Yeah, New Orleans. That don't sound right, but
Was it Orleans?
Orleans.
Was there a big celebration there at Orleans?
Oh yeah.
Tell me about it.
Well, it's mostly getting something to eat. We've been hacked around so long.
What kind of food did you have on the front?
Cornwelly, most of it.
What was it?
Cornwelly,
What's that?
cans.
What is corn willy?
It's a can. Just canned meat. I don't know.
Do you have any reflections on your service over there in France? Just give me some of your reflections about your time during the war.
I don't know.
Do you have any other incidents that happened?
What?
Any more incidents that you can remember
Oh,
about the war?
That's been a long time ago.
Yeah.
A lot of water on the bridge.
What were your duties during the occupation?
I was going to hauling trucks up to Copenhagen up in Germany, on the German.
Up to Koblenz?
Yeah.
You still have the Packard trucks at that time?
No, we had several different trucks since then. And we thought we was coming home, everybody up in there. And when we landed in Camp Romania, we dug up 25,000 soldiers, been there, buried in October. We dug them up in June, July, and 25,000 at that cemetery, Camp Romania Cemetery.
Where's that located? Where's that located?
I don't really know.
Why'd you have to dig them up?
Right?
Why did you have to dig them up?
They buried where they fell in the forest. Just rows of them. They just buried them where they fell.
And where were they reburied?
They're buried in the cemetery. 25,000, that cemetery.
And what's the name of it again?
Camp Romania.
And is that in France?
Yeah.
Were you ever in the area where the gas was used? Were you ever in the area in France where the gas was used?
Yeah, a time or two. I was slightly gassed. Not bad.
What does that gas smell like?
You can't hardly detect it till it gets on you.
Was it mustard gas?
No, it wasn't mustard. That mustard eats you up.
What kind of gas were they using?
It's clear gas. I don't know. They used this mustard gas and some of the shells they shot over, getting those shell holes. It eats you up, that mustard gas would.
What did the gas do that you were in?
Not too much of anything. Make you sick.
Where were you when you were gassed?
I don't remember. It was on the front there somewhere.
And when did you return to the States?
I was discharged August 19, 1919.
And you left France from which port?
I forget the name of the town. I don't believe it was Brest, so
Was it Le Havre?
I just don't remember.
What about the trip back to the States?
Well, I was seasick, same as going over.
Where'd you land in the States?
Landed in New York. The Statue of Liberty sure looked good to you.
I was going to ask about your reflections on seeing the Statue of Liberty coming in.
Yeah, sure was good.
You see it when you were going out?
No, that's the first time I've ever seen it when I come back. We left in the dark going over.
return to Oklahoma?
Where did I? Came to Stroud.
Came to Stroud?
My folks live south of Stroud.
Was there a celebration year when you returned?
No.
So did you go back to the farm
No, I went back to grocery business.
with the Evans?
Evans Company.
Was there a depression after the war?
Well, yes. I can remember the boss there, he had two stores that he just lost one store when that hit.
Also, I've heard that there was a depression in 1907 also.
Yeah,
How bad was that depression?
well, it's all bad. Everything was bad before the Depression. And that hit made it worse.
How was the grocery business in the 1930s?
Oh, it just dragged along. You had to fight to survive.
So, was the grocery business pretty good in the 20s?
Well, I guess for those times it was all right. They wouldn't be considered anything nowadays. But we made a living out of it. Able to pay our bills.
What about the 1930s, the Great Depression?
Well,
How did that affect the grocery business?
it's rough before it hit. Didn't help any.
Did you make it through okay?
Yeah. Yeah, I was in there 37 years. I was able to pay my bills.
What about World War II? Did you do any work for the war effort in
No.
the Second World War?
No. I didn't have nothing to do with it.
What about the bomb drives in Stroud?
I guess Adam Sims. World War One.
Do you remember when they paved the streets in Stroud?
I remember when they did, I don't know what date it was.
Were they paved with brick? When they
Yeah, they paved with bricks.
Where'd they get the bricks?
They had a brick plant out south town here.
So the bricks were made locally.
Yeah.
What was the name of the brick factory?
I don't know. Don't remember.
When did you get married?
I got married 1924.
And what was your wife's name?
Her name is Stevenson, Leota Stevenson.
What was her first name?
Leota.
Leota?
I've been married twice. She was killed later in an accident, and I married with Adele Unglesby.
What about storms around Stroud? Floods?
Right?
What about storms around Stroud? Floods? Tornadoes?
Well, we've never had no serious blowouts. We've had some exciting times. We've never.
Come on, there. I've heard about the tornado that hit Chandler in '97.
Yeah, guess that's pretty bad.
Yeah. Ever hear any stories about that storm?
No, I don't know anything about that.
So when did you quit the grocery business?
When did I quit it? 56.
56. Is that when you retired?
No, I built this tuna motel up here. I had it built. Run it 16 years.
Was it a good business though, that time?
Night and day. Only way you can make it, do the work yourself. But I did all right in it. Finally give it away and made several trips across around the world. Even went to Moscow.
Tell me about Moscow. What was it like?
Well, it's a pretty nice place. On this, they didn't have no houses over there. They all lived in apartments. We went to the Arctic Circle one time. I went to Hawaii. Went to North Africa.
Oh, let me back up. I was going to ask about where you started the school.
River Bend, 1903 or 4. A little country town, and a little out in the country. They hired a teacher that couldn't find the schoolhouse, let alone the door.
Where was River Bend?
Right?
Where was River Bend?
It was a mile west of us where we lived.
Why was it called River Bend?
Because of the bend of the river, Deep Fork.
Deep Fork.
District 71.
How many students in the school? How many students in the school?
Oh, I imagine it's 30 or 40.
Was it a one-room school?
One room.
How did that one teacher handle all the different grades in that one room?
Got by all right, I guess. And class ever get rid of one class to have another one.
While she was teaching the other classes, what was your class doing?
We were getting ready for ours.
What kind of games do you play in school?
Black man mostly, I think.
How do you play that?
And just get out there and see if you can get through to the next base. Run from one to the other. Have a base on one side, on each side. Try to get through to the other side. Senseless game.
Anything else about your childhood? Anything else about your childhood? Any childhood stories you remember?
No.
Anything else about the war?
No, not so much.
Well, Mr. Goff, I think we have a good interview. Anything else you can think of?
No. I would think a lot of things are gone.
Yeah. Okay. I was going to ask that how many boys from this area went to the war with you?
I was the only one. I volunteered. 5 or 6 the draft went ahead of me, but I was the only one from Stroud that enlisted at that time. My brother enlisted and I had to
What was your brother's name?
go. Alfred.
Did all the boys from Stroud come back?
Well, I think there's 1 or 2 of them killed. That's been long gone history. My brother served in the Philippines. He never get to France.
What did he do in the Philippines?
What did he do?
Yeah.
Just eat and slept. Had 3 meals a day and slept every night. And I didn't have no meals and sleep on the frozen ground at night.
And ground at night?
Right.
Sleep on the ground? Or?
On the frozen ground.
Yeah.
Not every night, but lots of nights.
How many different battles were you involved in?
I was in all the fronts. I wasn't no battle. I I hold ammunition to the front. I hold 75. That's what's the front. What's the closest.
You got the French 75?
We had the French 75 guns with all ammunition to them.
Is that the only type of ammunition you hauled was for the 75 millimeter?
Well, we hauled some bigger ammunition, but most of it was 75s, and most of it was shot from the front row.
You say shot in the front row.
Yeah, on the one of those fronts, we had a 72-hour barrage. That took lots of ammunition. 3 days and nights. We pounded the Germans before we even attempted to take on.
Was that at the Meuse? Was that at the Meuse, or was that at the Meuse Argonne, or?
Yeah.
Anyone else from Stroud that was in the war with you still around?
No, not with me. There's several Stroud in the war, though.
Are they still around town?
Not that I know of. After a while, 68 years, you forget a lot of that stuff. When you strive so hard to make a living after you get home.
I was going to ask, during the Great Depression in the 1930s, did all your customers pay their bills okay?
No, it's very hard. They just couldn't do it.
Did you carry them through the Depression?
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty conservative. I just took on them and I thought could pay. But I couldn't carry very many of them. But there's lots of deadbeats. They just couldn't. They couldn't make it, and they had to borrow off somebody.
Were there soup lines here in Stroud?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Who sponsored the soup lines?
What?
Who sponsored the soup lines?
I don't remember. City, I guess.
And where were they located?
But I don't remember where it is.
And also, do you know where they got the food for the soup lines?
Come off the government. I don't know.
What do you think of Roosevelt's policies in those years?
Well, I think it's all wrong.
What do you think he should have done?
I don't know. But he didn't do the right thing about it. He didn't help out any. We had to pay for it later.
Did many people around here go to California?
All of them went to California at one time.
They did.
All the sharecropping class, loose class.
Did many of them come back?
Yeah, some of them come back, not many of them. Well, I'd say about 30 of them.
Were there many sharecroppers around here?
Yeah, quite a few.
How come they all went to California?
Well, I thought of a better life out there. Ready to go someplace.
Did I heard that some of Roosevelt's policies helped stop the sharecropping system.
You already stopped it.
Yeah.